Okay, this video is going to go over graphing for the fast food project. So I want to take just a minute and look at the instructions with you first. So here on the graphing section, it tells you that you can choose what you want to graph, but you want to keep comparison and analysis in mind, and you need to do at least 4 graphs, okay? Excuse me. You should not need to do this simple introduction video because we've done a lot of graphing so far. So I think you'll be covered on that. Here are some examples of graphs that you might do, okay? So as you're graphing, you want to keep in mind that it needs to be something important, something that matters. So one thing that you could do is you could compare nutritional facts for meals from the different restaurants. You do have to make sure that the scale makes sense, okay? Some things are measured in milligrams and some are measured in grams. So those two things should not be shown on the same graph because the scale will look messed up. So if you want to put, for example, this first example graph that I show you has fat and protein by restaurant listed, that would be okay because both fat and protein are measured in grams, so it doesn't mess up the scale if you do it that way. So that would be perfectly fine. So keep that in mind. That might be one type of graph that you do. You could make a graph for each nutritional fact by restaurant. You could graph the percentage of daily guideline by nutrition or by nutrient or meal. And then you can also just find something else that you think is interesting in your information and graph it. Okay. Here's another example. The second example I give you here is just the meal at Chipotle. So you can see each individual item. I've got the fat in grams over here, and each individual item is charted. Okay. As you're charting, in order to get some of these graphs to look right, you have to consider where your information is spaced on your spreadsheet. So if we come back to our regular spreadsheet, what you may need to do, it's laid out, if you've laid yours out like mine, it's laid out where you have the first restaurant, the second restaurant, and then as you scroll down, the third and the fourth. What you may need to do in order to get the graphs that you want is you may need to consolidate the totals down at the bottom, okay? So you'll notice after I have all the information for my 4 restaurants, I put in a part called My Typical Meals, and I went ahead and put the restaurant, listed out each restaurant, and then I put the nutrients that I was researching, calories, fat, sodium, and protein. And so I took that information and carried it down here so that the graphing would be easier, so that the cells are closer in proximity. So let me show you real quick. I'm going to turn my pinpoint on so hopefully you can see a little clearer. Maybe it may not turn on while I'm on the video. Yeah, it doesn't look like that guy wants to turn on. So my point here is what you can do is take like your total for Panda Express. Okay, what I did here was I used what's called the absolute cell reference, but I didn't put any formula in it. Okay, so I just put $, $B, $8. What that's going to do is it tells the spreadsheet to look at what is in cell B8 and copy it down there. So right here is my B8, that's my total calories, 1,090. So I just put across here that I wanted whatever was in that cell carried down, whatever is in C8 carried down, whatever in D8 carried down, whatever is in E8 carried down. Okay. The reason you would do it like this instead of just typing in the number is so that there's less chance of mistakes, making a typing mistake. And also, if the number changes up top in cell B8, this would automatically update to what that number would be. So if you found you had a mistake on calories and you had to change it, you don't have to remember to change it both places if you use this as the absolute cell value. Okay. So having these closer together will make it easier for you to do some of your graphing with the totals. Okay. And you'll notice over here I even went a little bit further on a couple of my graphs. I wanted to have fat and protein together, and it was very difficult to get 3 ranges to graph correctly. Now you can definitely try it, and if you can get it to work, that'd be great. But this is an example of what you can do if you need to get it to work. Okay. So the sample graphs I had already shown you on the instruction sheet, but this is kind of what they look like. Please remember when you are doing this to put your title in and your axis titles. Okay. This is the vertical, this is the horizontal, and then usually data labels are a good idea. That's what these little numbers are here inside the columns. Okay, that just makes it easier to read. Okay, so that is graphing for now. If you have any questions about graphing, be sure and ask.